Today, I want to do something a bit different. I want to show the drummers out there how you can work on and potentially improve your double stroke bass drum technique using a single pedal. It's pretty much the only thing I remember from studying drums in college, so let's just do it. Hey everybody, it's Pat and welcome back to another video. For those of you who don't know me, I make all sorts of videos about making music, tips, tricks, tutorials, and now drum exercise videos. So if that's something you're into and you want to show some support, consider subscribing. And if you've done that, you can click the bell. I upload pretty much every week. So like I said in the intro, this is pretty much one of the only drum exercises I remember from 4 years of studying drums in college. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's definitely one of my favorites. That's why I still remember it after all this time. And it's really helped me develop my double stroke technique on a single bass drum pedal. I've never really used a double bass drum pedal. I've always been on a single pedal, and it's really helped me develop my right side because, believe it or not, I'm actually left-handed. Even though you've seen me play guitar and drums right-handed, I'm actually left-handed. So any exercise that emphasizes on the right side, I love, and this is one of them. So let me show it to you. So the entire exercise is 4 different patterns that you're going to play between the bass drum and the snare. Let me first show you the 4 patterns individually so you can understand them, and then we'll put them together into the one exercise that you can pretty much practice at any speed, any volume, or any combination you want. So the first part of the exercise is bass drum, snare, snare. I don't really care about sticking. You can do left, right, or right, left, or left, left, right, right. You can actually alternate those if you want. But let's just start with 2 bass drums and then 2 snare. Pretty easy, right? Then it's going to be snare, bass drum, snare. The next part of the exercise is going to be bass drum, snare, snare, and bass drum. It goes like this. The fourth part of this exercise is what I like to call the Mike Portnoy. You've heard this a million times if you've ever listened to Dream Theater. It's snare, snare, bass drum, bass drum. And so once you've sort of mastered those 4 parts individually, what I like to do is combine all of them into this one single phrase and then loop it over and over again, and then just basically go up with speed. You'll notice that at the end I add 4 16th notes so that I don't have to do 4 bass drum strokes, basically. It's just to loop the whole thing together so that it sort of makes sense. Let me show you. All right, so let's talk about bass drum pedal technique. Whenever I play slowly or I play something that's not super loud, I play with my foot down. But the second things start getting fast or loud, I always play with my foot up. And the technique I use to do a double stroke is that I do sort of a slide. I've pretty much always used DW pedals in my life, and the reference is to have my foot sort of the tip of my shoe at the DW logo, or the Tama logo, whatever you play with. Sort of find a reference point for the tip of your shoe or your toes if you're one of those people who plays bare feet. And basically, just go back a little bit and then do a first stroke and then use the rebound to do a second stroke. It's pretty much the same idea as doing a double stroke with your hands. You're using the rebound to do a double stroke. Looks like this. What's really fun about it is that it puts the double strokes at different spots in the measures. So when you're playing, you'll be ready for anything. You're not just used to doing, the snare, snare, bass drum. You'll be used to doing different voicings. And don't be afraid to take just one part of that exercise, the one you have the most trouble with, for example, and practicing just that, just isolating this one, for example. And then you can switch stickings if you want. or just do one hand. And really, isolate and create other sort of collateral exercises based on this one exercise. And speaking of expansion and creating other exercises off of this one, once you're comfortable on the snare drum, don't be afraid to take that elsewhere on the drum kit. I like to do snare tom, bass drum, and tom tom, bass drum. So let me show you a couple of those exercises. I've been doing the Portnoy snare, bass drum fill for ages. And practicing this exercise is what helped me get out of that, sort of stop playing just that fill and develop better, more interesting fills and develop my vocabulary. But that is all for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it and found it useful. If you did, don't be afraid to leave a like on your way out. Otherwise, all the other places where you can find me and reach out are down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.